Toolkit. I started on Monday and we'll finish on Saturday. So do, if you can, come to as many of them as you can. So some of you have been. So see if you can continue. And you can watch them on our YouTube channel. Well, actually, you can watch yesterday's. We forgot on Monday. But you can watch yesterday's, which is marvellous. So you can catch up on. So I'm trying to teach a sort of, what am I trying? I'm trying to teach an arc of teaching about how to work in meditation. The key thing I've been emphasising is that Buddhist meditation is always about what's called samadhi and prajna. Samadhi means that state of wholeness, of unification. It means when your mind, your thoughts, your emotions and your body all become unified. It's quite difficult to talk about it because when we talk about things, we split them up. We talk about what we're thinking, what we're feeling, how our body is. In samadhi, those distinctions no longer obtain. So, if we want to go deeper in our life, the key quality we need is this sense of wholeness, of unification. Just this morning I went to look at the Cézanne portrait for the 6th time or something like that. And, the only way to get anything from looking at a painting is to give it quite a lot of attention, usually much more than people actually do give them, and to give all of your attention to it. And then you'll find there's so much to enjoy, to find meaningful, and so on. But to deepen your experience of looking at a painting or looking at a landscape or talking to a person or walking down a road or anything, I need to be unified, complete, whole, not distracted, not in conflict with myself, not not with my energy dissipated. Yeah. So we human beings live for a very brief period of time. The key to living well, the first key to living well, is to discover, to uncover, to work towards this sense of unification, of wholeness, which can become, in meditation, particularly rapturously whole. Yeah? And that is how you deepen your mind. Prajna is about then how you take that deepened mind to an investigation into the nature of reality, into how things really are. That's what Buddhism is really interested in. Yeah? But you can't valuably do that with a distracted, neurotic, self-critical, success-orientated me mind. It's just not a very good mind. Yeah? It's just an immature mind. So we're trying to, first of all, create a mature, unified mind that we can do something profoundly mystical with, which is understand the nature of reality. Yeah? That's the Buddhist vision of meditation, in a nutshell. So that yesterday, I won't recap every week, every day I've been doing, but yesterday we were talking about the fact that when you sit here in this room to close your eyes to meditate, you're confronted by your experience, you're confronted by your mind. If you don't want to be confronted by your mind, I'd suggest you go somewhere else. I mean that in a really nice way, really kind of Buddhist-y way. But just skip this and go for lunch. If you don't want to be confronted with yourself. What meditation does, it confronts you with what's really going on. So if you've been just running on caffeine and anxiety this morning, probably you'll find when you close your eyes you start to nod off because there's not much real energy. Yeah? If you've just had an argument with someone this morning, you'll be confronted with the tightness and pain of feeling averse to someone. Yeah? As soon as you meditate, you notice your mind more. The reason we don't notice our mind is because we're sort of pouring into life all the time. We don't easily stop and notice what kind of mental state am I bringing to my life. Yeah? Now, Buddhism says primarily there's 5 different things that you might notice. Yeah? And I talked about this yesterday. So basically, it's not wanting things, feeling averse to things. And that can be a pain in your knee. It can be your boss. It can be something to do with Brexit. It's that feeling of aversion, yeah, of dislike, of not wanting. Or we grasp after things, we want things and grasp things that aren't in our experience, lunch or a new job or a hot date, whatever it is that you grasp, possibly all of those, and a bit more. Success is another typical one. And then the other things we have, either we have an anxious, restless energy, which is now becoming kind of endemic, isn't it? Or we've got a slothful, low energy. Talked a bit about this yesterday. I'm particularly struck by passivity, a kind of passive attitude to life, a sense of being passive to your life, which all that does is it robs you of energy. And then you have this doubt, this question of doubt. The fifth of the things that you'll notice when you try and meditate is doubt. You're not really convinced that meditation will help, or you're not really convinced that you can do it. Yeah. Doubt is the most pernicious. It's supposed to be the deepest hindrance. What it usually manifests in is not really doing anything very fully. So you come to the London Buddhist Center, you do this meditation, sounds a bit groovy, but you're not really applying yourself, not really. You're half sort of not bothering. So because we don't give ourselves to something, meditation, a communication, looking at a painting, helping others, because we don't really give ourselves, we don't get much from it, so we don't give ourselves. We get this circular thing. Yeah. Doubt is something that all of us have. We don't quite commit to things. And because we don't quite commit to things, our life doesn't flourish. Yeah. We just kind of cruise along until life wakes us up sometimes. So the things I was emphasizing yesterday, which I'll carry on a little bit today, is first of all we need to take full responsibility for our mind. We need to realize that meditation will highlight those 5 great matters in our mind. We need to take responsibility for them. It's our mind. Yeah. As soon as we blame someone else, or the state, or the boss, or whatever, Brexit, or whatever, we just make ourselves passive. It means that we can't change. Yeah? So what we need to do in meditation is confront our mind and take full responsibility for it. It's actually much harder than it sounds, because our mental states are automatic and habitual, so often we don't notice it. We might notice that, I've got all this work to do, but what we don't notice is actually that's being modelled by my anxiety. Because I feel anxious, it feels like I've got lots to do. Or we say we've got this dreadful boss, and we don't realise that is being modelled by our aversion. Because we feel averse to them, we notice the things about them that we don't like, and we actually edit out the things that are fine. Yeah? One of the things that Buddhism wants to really say to everybody, what the Buddha would want to say to everyone, is the quality of your life is a mirror of your mind. It's not completely a mirror. It's not as if you're the cause of your life, but your mental states will edit the life that you're living as you live it. So I was talking to a friend of mine this morning who has a strong sense that he's not good enough. He easily feels that it's very automatic in him, and he thinks that other people think that about him as well, and he picks it up very, very quickly. So if you say positive things about him, you can feel him slightly dismissing it. If you say something critical about him, you can feel him catch it and saying, yeah, that's what I thought you thought, and he'll remember that. So any mental view you have will edit your life as you go along. You'll remember the things that fit in with your view, your state of mind, and you'll edit the things out that don't. Yeah? So what this meditation is, and any meditation, is a chance to really take ownership of your mind, and therefore you can start to change it. Until you take ownership of your mind and say, this is my aversion, this is my anxiety, this is my a feeling of lowness and so on, this is my passivity, till we take ownership of our mind, we can't change our life. We'll just feel that life is happening to us and we're a victim of it. And that's understandable, and sometimes, we're always understandable, and it doesn't mean that bad things haven't happened to us. It's just utterly unfruitful. I know that because I've done it a lot in my life. Yeah, it's really just unfruitful. Your life won't flourish in that kind of state. So, the first thing we need to do is notice what state of mind we're in and take ownership of it, which is really taking ownership of our life. This is my life, this is my depression or anxiety or lust or success craving or whatever it is. This is mine that I'm experiencing. What do I want to do about it? How am I going to work with it? Am I satisfied with it? Is this really what I mean? Most of our mental states, we don't mean them. We just flow into them almost automatically. Like you don't wake up in the morning thinking, what should I do today? Oh, I know, I'll feel really sorry for myself. And then I'll really take offence at things that people say, and then I'll get myself really miserable. You don't do that. What we all want is to live a healthy, fulfilling life. But our habits of mind sort of have this kind of gravitational force, and we just slip into them without noticing. Especially when we're not attending, especially when we're not being mindful. We'll tend to go back to an automatic setting, whether that's being irritable, slightly indignant, morally superior, rather sort of intoxicated with our own wonderful looks or success, whatever it is we tend to get into. In other words, whatever we've done a lot of in our life, if we're not attending, this is why mindfulness is so important, if we're not attending, we'll just tend to drift automatically back to that setting, whatever it is, anxiety and so on. So here's our chance to notice where our mind drifts to and try to feel what that's like, yeah? And then take ownership of it and try to change it. Yeah? So today I want to just emphasize really noticing every time your mind goes off, see if you can notice, is it aversion? Is it grasping? Is it anxiety? Is it kind of sloth? Or is it doubt? You don't even actually need to name it that much. If you're not careful, it gets too analytical. All you really need to do is feel it. When I feel anxious, what does it actually feel like in my body? I know I've got all these stories about it. This is happening, I'm so busy, nobody understands. Usually part of the story. People don't realise how much I'm working. Those kind of stories. What we're trying to do is drop beneath the story, the rationalisation for it, and just say, what does it actually feel like? Where do I feel it in the body? How do I feel it? It's uncomfortable anxiety. The word actually means to choke. It's connected with this feeling of choking. Because when you get anxious, you can't speak, can you? And it's very difficult to think when you're anxious. So we're trying to just really then think, let's just get into it and feel it. And yesterday I was saying, to try and bring the breath to it and breathe with it. So the next part I want to say, I said much more yesterday, so do have a look at that. I thought I got a bit clearer yesterday. So have a look at that. So the first thing I was saying is take responsibility for your mind, much harder than it sounds. Then you step out of that by feeling what your mind is like in your body, in your heart. Yeah. You don't get into what I was saying yesterday is don't take it personally, your anxiety or your hatred or your indignation or your success fantasies. Don't take it personally. It's not actually saying anything very important about you. In fact, it's pretty trivial, whatever it is. The Buddhist vision of the mind is that those hindrances that we get into are just the very top of our mind. They're hardly anything. And if we take those things personally, we get stuck at the surface of our mind. Yeah. So don't take it personally. Don't get caught up in it. Just get interested in what it feels like. Yeah, whatever it is. Yeah. Especially what it feels like in the body. And then one of the keys at least, and I'll probably keep saying every day that the key to something is something. One of the keys is to notice that all of those states of mind, whatever they are, wanting, not wanting, anxiety, sloth, doubt, they all are to do with a certain tensioning up, yeah? A certain gripping in the body. Weirdly, you can also grip in your mind. Our body is the concrete dimension of our mind. Mind and body are two sides of the same coin. You can see it, can't you? Because you You see people walking down the street and they're holding themselves in the shape that they know. One of the things that can happen in meditation is that if you let go enough, you sort of disappear. Your body sense is actually to do with a view of who you are, strangely. It's mixed up with a kind of view. And if you really let go of that, you have this lovely sense of disappearing. So that sounds sort of a bit weird, doesn't it? It is a bit weird. But it's really, really pleasant that you hadn't noticed how much tension there is. So one of the things what I want to emphasize today in this meditation is really looking for where you're gripping and holding in your body. Because that's what's stopping you going up into samadhi, this beautiful sense of unification, of ease and so on. It's to do with you gripping and tensing and holding. The simplest place to look is in your body, because it's pretty concrete. Actually, you're also gripping in your mind, and you're gripping with your heart, as it were. Even things like ideas of time and space, you're holding them somewhere in a weird way. Anyway, let's not get into metaphysical subtleties, at least not at lunchtime. So what I want us to do in this meditation is we're just going to do one stage. We'll just do the third stage of the mindfulness of breathing. So all I want us to do is keep on trying to follow the breath. When we're taken away from the breath, it'll be because we're in one of those hindrances. So as soon as you notice that you're away from the breath, get interested in that. Don't take that as, I can't do this meditation thing. That's just another hindrance. That's just aversion, yeah? Self-aversion. So when you go away from the meditation, that's a cue to meditate. That's a cue to get interested in that experience of going away. And I'm especially trying to get you to be interested in what that feels like when you go away. And somewhere you'll be tensing up. Yeah? Tiredness, anxiety, aversion, grasping, doubt, they all make us tense in the body and in the mind. Yeah? And what I want us to try to do today is just keep going to the breath. Every time you go off, you notice it. Then try to feel where you're gripping in your body. Yeah? And then try to let that go. Just find ways of letting that go. Breathe into it. Explore the tense area. Where do you feel it? Where don't you feel it? Is there a way of softening it? Can you take the breath through that tense area? Can you imagine the breath opening up that area? Tomorrow I want to say a bit more about this attitude we want to bring, but for today, we're just going to be breath, we go off, breath, we go off, but we're going to take the breath into those tight areas. We're going to try and soften those areas. Try and see how you might do it. Yeah. Just see if you can. It's weird that in Tibetan Buddhism they've got this idea of the subtle body, which I've started to feel is more and more helpful. So you've got this physical body that is made of stuff, although remember that stuff is highly mysterious. Nobody knows what it is. Matter. How does it think? How does it create this world? But then you've got this sort of subtler body, which is to do with your mind. It's to do with your self-identity. You know this because as I sit here now talking to you, I sort of know what I look like. If I was to remember this, I'd sort of almost be able to see me. But that is not what I'm literally seeing. You have a kind of subtle sense of yourself, don't you? As you sit here just now, it's not literally that you're just seeing what you see through your eyes. There's a subtle sense of me-ness. Yeah? So weirdly, that itself can be tight and held, yeah? That subtle body. So what you're doing is you start with the body, and then you try to find subtler and subtler ways in which you're gripping. And you can use the breath to soften all that. Yeah? But you need to experiment and find ways of doing that. And I'll talk more about experimentation tomorrow. Okay? So that'll do for just now. Let's actually do that. Yeah?